So dear students, now it is time to start this very important and very interesting chapter of physics, which is actually based on light, students, which is actually based on light. We have also seen some other chapters which are based on light. Now students, the name of this chapter that we are going to study now is the human eye and the colorful world. The human eye and the colorful world, students. So students, maybe you are able to guess that we are going to study this chapter in two parts. In part 1, we are going to study about the human eye, and in part 2, we are going to study about the colorful world. Okay, students. So you can understand how important this chapter is, right, students? Please understand, eye is very important for us. With eye, we see the entire world, students. So this is a very important chapter, students. Okay, students. So let us start this chapter and let us start studying about human eye. Right, students? Are you ready? So let's set go. This is the human eye. If we take out the human eye from inside the body, it will look like this, students. It will look like this. It will look like a small ball, students. That's why it is called an eyeball. That's why it is called an eyeball, students. An eyeball. Okay. So you can see our eye is actually spherical in shape. Spherical in shape, right, students? And its diameter, this is its diameter, students, that is approximately 2.3 centimeter. Okay. However, in some human beings, it can be slightly more or slightly less, students. Now, what we want to do here, students, is that we want to go inside the eye, inside this eyeball, and see what is the structure inside it, students. So, students, now we'll study structure of eye. Structure of eye. So, this is our eye from outside as we see it every day. But from inside, the eye is like this, and there are a lot of things inside it, as you can see. So students, first of all, look at this. Look at this. This structure here is called cornea, students. Cornea. It is basically like a transparent membrane. Transparent membrane. It is basically like a transparent membrane. Okay, students. So if you look at eye from outside, there is a transparent membrane on eye. There is a transparent membrane on eye, right? So that is this thing actually. That is cornea. It's a transparent membrane. What is its job, students? See, it protects our eyes. It protects our eyes. Due to presence of this cornea, dust particles cannot go inside our eyes, or small particles cannot go inside our eyes. If this cornea will not be there, they can go inside our eyes and harm us. Okay, so it protects eye from dust particles. Okay, students. And as you can see, students, it is curved. This cornea is curved in shape. It is convex shaped. Right, students? So this is cornea, a transparent membrane in the front of eye. Then students, look at this structure. This is a structure of muscle, students. This structure here is called iris. You can also see this structure here, students. Now, in the mid of iris, there is a hole, students, that is actually called pupil. It is very important, students, as we will see later in this chapter. If we look at eye, students, from outside, this black structure here is actually pupil. And this green structure here, students, is actually iris. Students, as we will see later in this chapter, that light enters our eyes. And that is through this pupil only. Right, students? So light will come inside our eye through this pupil. So we can write this down here in short, that light enters eye through pupil, basically. Okay. Now let us talk a bit about this iris, students. This iris is actually ring shaped. As you can see here, it's like a ring. It's like a ring with a hole at the center. It's like a ring with a hole in the center, students. And also it is colored, students. It is colored. As you can see here, it is looking greenish. So it is colored, students. And the interesting thing, students, is that in different human beings, color of iris may vary. Color of iris may vary. Let me show you this photograph, students. See here, or see here first, students. You can see the color of iris here. Okay, it is greenish. In this case, you can see the color of iris is, what do you think? Brownish, right? In this case, you can see the color of iris is, it is different, somewhat bluish, right? So students, color of iris can vary in different human beings. You can do a small exercise, students. Look deeply into the eyes of different people around you. Okay, and you will notice that color of iris is different in all of them, slightly different in all of them, students. Okay, so do this exercise, you will have fun, students. Then look at this structure, students. This structure. This is the most important thing in your eye, students. This is actually a lens, students. This is actually a lens. Okay, and as you can see from the shape, it is a which type of lens? Which type of lens is this, students? Look at the shape. Look at the shape. I'm sure, students, you are able to understand that it is actually a convex lens. It is actually a convex lens. Okay, students. So it is a convex lens. So, students, very importantly, inside your eye there is a convex lens. Inside your eye there is a convex lens. Now, students, you might be thinking that lenses are generally made of glass. Lenses are generally made up of glass, students, right? So is this lens also made up of glass? Definitely no, students. Definitely no. The lens inside your eye is not made up of glass. It is made up of a jelly-like transparent substance. A jelly-like transparent substance. Okay, students. Obviously, it cannot be made up of glass, right? If glass will be there inside your eyes will be damaged, students, right? So this lens is made up of a jelly-like transparent substance. Okay, now look at this structure, students. This thing here, that is called suspensory ligaments. Suspensory ligaments. Why ligaments, students? Because this structure is 2 in number. You can see here as well. This is also suspensory ligament, students, right? So these two are suspensory ligaments. Now what are they doing, students? You can clearly see that this and this, these two suspensory ligaments are holding this lens at its place. So what are they doing? They are holding lens. They are holding lens at its place. They are holding lens at its place. Okay. So this is a suspensory ligament. This is another suspensory ligament, students. Okay. Now look at this structure, students. This is a muscular structure and this is called ciliary muscles. Ciliary muscles. Once again, this is also ciliary muscles, students. Fine. We'll see about ciliary muscles in great detail in this chapter, actually, because this is very important. These ciliary muscles are actually very important. Okay. Now look at this structure here, students. This wall-like structure at the back of eye. At the back of eye is again a very important part of eye, and this is called retina. This is called retina. Okay. Now you can see this is a nerve, student, right? So this is called optical nerves. This is called optical nerves. Optical nerves. This goes to brain. This goes to brain. Okay. So what is its role? That also we'll see, students. Then you can see a point here on retina, a point here on retina. This point here on retina in front of optical nerves is called blind spot. It's called blind spot. Right, students? So these are the major parts of eye. Then this whole structure, students, this whole structure here, this is filled with a liquid that is called vitreous humor. That is called vitreous humor. Vitreous humor is a transparent liquid. It is a transparent liquid. Okay, vitreous humor. You have to remember this name. Similarly, students, in this small portion, there is another liquid that is called aqueous humor. That is called aqueous humor. It is also a transparent liquid, students. It is also a transparent liquid. Okay. So students, why these liquids are transparent? Why these two liquids are transparent? So students, we will see later on in this chapter that light rays will travel inside the eye. Light rays will travel inside the eye. So light rays can travel only if these things are transparent, right? If these things are not transparent, how will light travel inside eye, right? So fine students, this was all about the structure of eye. Now we need to see that how this eye helps us in looking at the objects, in seeing the objects, right? So student, that will be studied under the heading working of eye, working of eye. So see students, how this eye works, how this eye works. So suppose there is an object in front of our eye, right? That may be any object. For example, we have taken a tree. So students, this is an object in front of our eye. This is an object in front of our eye. Okay. Now see, light rays starting from this object, light rays starting from this object will come and hit our eyes, will come and hit our eyes, right students? So you can see students, this is cornea, right students, which is actually transparent, and then this is lens, which is actually a very important thing, right students? So what happens, this light rays come and hit the cornea, they can pass the cornea as it is transparent, and then they hit the lens, students. Now what happens then? This is a lens students, this is a convex lens actually. So this lens will bend the rays, and the rays are actually meeting here, on retina, students, right? So once again I repeat what's going on here. Light rays start from this object, they come and hit the lens is going to bend these light rays, and these light rays are actually going to meet at retina, So students, an image is going to be formed on the retina, so this is basically an image, students, right? So here retina is acting as a screen, where image is being formed, right students? So students, one thing is important here, we have studied about convex lenses, right? And I highly recommend that you revise convex lenses before we go ahead. If you remember convex lenses very well, then it's okay. Otherwise you should revise, because the knowledge of convex lens is going to be very important in understanding the functioning of eye, right students? Because the most important part of eye is this convex lens. Okay, so this is an object in front of this convex lens, and this convex lens is forming its image on the retina, Now students, tell me, this image is real or virtual? Is it real or is it virtual? What do you think, students? What do you think? This is a real image or virtual image, students? This is clearly a real image. Why, students? Because you can see the light rays are actually meeting here. Right? The light rays are actually meeting here. So it is actually a real image. And the image is inverted. As I've drawn here, this image is inverted. Now students, once again, if you remember convex lenses, there we have studied very clearly that when convex lens forms a real image, it is always inverted. We have studied that when a convex lens forms a real image, it is always inverted. So the image formed here is inverted. So students, we can write this down, whatever we have studied till now. So students, light rays from object hit our eyes. Lens forms the image of object on retina, as we have seen. The image is real and inverted, right students? Now see what happens next. Now look at this, students. These are optical nerves. Right students? And where these optical nerves go? So as I have told you, they go to brain, students. Okay. So when there is an object in front of our eyes, its image is formed on retina by the lens, and then these optical nerves take the information of this image to our brain. Okay. So when this image is formed, these optical nerves become active. They take the information of this image to our brain. So our brain is able to process this information, and that's how we feel that okay, there is an object in front of us. There is an object in front of us. Okay, students, let me write this down. Optical nerves take the information of image to the brain. As I told you, brain processes the information and we feel the presence of the object. You understand? So that is how eye basically works. This is something very basic. We'll see the entire working in more detail also, but this is the basic working stress. That there is an object, light rays from that object hit the lens will form an image on the retina. Then these optical nerves will take this information to the brain. Then brain can do lot of things, and due to which we feel that okay, there is an object in front of us and we see the object. Okay, now here students, you may be having one small doubt. Students, please notice that the image here is inverted. Image here is inverted, right? So students, if we are looking at a tree, the image formed in our eye is inverted. So what should happen? So students, we should see an inverted tree. We should see an inverted tree, a tree upside down, right? Because the image formed in our eye is inverted. But students, you know that that is not something that happens in our day-to-day life. In our day-to-day life, if we look at a tree, we'll see it erect. We'll see it erect, right? So what is going on here? What is going on here? You understand? What is going on here? If the image here is inverted in our eye, how are we able to see an erect object? How are we able to see an erect object in our day-to-day life? So students, see, our brain is actually very smart. Brain is very smart, right? When this image is formed, the information of this image goes to the brain, right? And inside the brain, this image is further inverted. Inside the brain, this image is further inverted. We can write this down. Inside the brain, image is further inverted. Image is further inverted. So what will happen now? Inside the brain, this image will be further inverted, and if it is further inverted, it will become erect. It will become erect, and we'll see an erect object, right, students? So you're getting the point. Fine. Okay. So this is the basic working of eye, students, and I also must tell you one more thing here, that this basic working of eye is very similar to camera. Basic working of eye is similar to camera. Students. You know what are cameras, right? So if you have ever studied about cameras earlier, you will know that cameras also work pretty much in the same manner. You may not need to see this point in great detail. You just need to know this fact, right? That camera also works very much like this, right? So let us move ahead. Okay, students, now role of iris and pupil. So students, first of all, tell me, where is iris, where is pupil in this diagram? Tell me, we have studied that. Where is iris? Students, I'm sure you are able to think this is actually iris, right, students? And even this is iris, right? And what about pupil? This whole hair, students, this whole hair is pupil, right, students? Now, I'm going to show you a very interesting photograph. Look at this, students. Look at this. Look at these two different eyes. Do you notice any difference, students? Do you notice any difference? Look carefully, students. I'm sure, students, you can look at, you can find the difference. Here, this is pupil. This black portion is pupil, right? This black portion is pupil, right? So here the pupil is small. So here we have a small pupil, and here, students, we have large pupil, right? So students, sometimes our eyes is like this, and at other times our eyes is like this. When we are actually sitting at a very bright place, where there is lot of light, our eyes is actually like this. And when we are actually sitting at a dim place, maybe in a dark room where there is very little light, maybe in a cinema hall where there is very little light, students, then our eyes is like this. Then our eyes are like this. You understand? If we are sitting at a very bright place, maybe outside, maybe outside on a very sunny day, or in a room where there are a lot of lights, our eyes is like this. It means pupil is small. But if you are at a dark place, maybe at night or in a cinema hall, our eyes is like this. Means the pupil is large. So what is going on here, students? That is what we need to understand. I'll explain you, students. See, if there is an object in front of us, light rays starting from the object comes and enters the eye, comes and enters the eyes, right? Light rays will start from the object and they will come inside the eye like this. So they are coming inside the eye through pupil. They are coming inside the eye through pupil, right, students? So see what happens, that if we are sitting in bright light, there is a problem. Why there is a problem? That if there is lot of light outside, lot of light through this pupil can come inside the eye, right? If there is bright light outside, lot of light rays can come inside our eye, through this pupil. Now that is not safe for the eye. If large amount of light comes inside, the eye may be damaged. So students, let me write this down, that eye may be damaged. If large amount of light enters. Okay, students, if a large amount of light enters eye may be damaged. So students, you understand the point now, that if we are sitting in bright light, we need a smaller pupil. If this pupil will be small, only a small amount of light will enter and our eye will be safe. So in bright light, pupil should be small. That's why, students, we have a small pupil when we are in bright light, right? Now what happens when we are in dim light? See, students, if we are in dim light, there is very little light outside. Then students, we'll want a lot of light to come inside, because there is very little light outside. So lot of light has to come inside, so that a clear image is formed here. Isn't it, students? So if the pupil is big now, large amount of light can come and a clear image will be formed. You understand? So in dim light, large pupil is needed, so that good amount of light can come inside. And a clear image is formed on retina. So students, I'm sure now you understand why we have a small pupil in bright light and why we have large pupil in dim light, right, students? I can repeat it briefly if you want, that in bright light, there's a lot of light outside. If lot of light enters our eyes, then our eyes will be damaged. Right? So we need a small pupil. So that only a small amount of light can come inside and eye is safe. When we are in dim light, students, there's very little light outside. So a large pupil is needed. To gather a lot of light. So that the image formed here is clear, and we can see the object. You understand? Now, students, what it means is that if you are sitting in a bright room, your eyes like this, right? When you are sitting in a dim room, your eyes like this. right students? So it means that your eye is automatically changing. Your eye is automatically changing when you are shifting from bright to dim or dim to bright room, right? Right students? So if you are shifting from a bright to dim room or dim to bright room, the size of pupil automatically changes. You don't even know about this students, right? Did you know about this before? No. So since childhood, since you have been born students, this phenomena is continuously happening. Whenever you are changing, whenever you are going to bright light, your eye is becoming like this. Whenever you are going to dim light or in a dim room or in a dark room, your eye is becoming like this, and automatically the size of pupil is changing. So students, how is this happening? How is this happening? How is this phenomena happening automatically? So that is what we need to understand students. So here iris plays a very important role. Iris plays a very important role. See what happens students, when you are in bright light and also when you are in dim light, I'll tell you both the cases. When you are in bright light students, this iris will expand like this. This iris will expand like this, right? When you are in a bright room, this iris will expand. So if the iris expands, pupil will become small. You can understand, right? So when you are in bright room, this iris is actually expanding, making the pupil small. Okay students, so in bright room, when you are in bright light, iris expands, making pupil small, okay students? And what happens when you go to a dim room or dim light? This iris students moves like this, contracts. This iris contracts, making the pupil larger. The iris contracts, making the pupil larger. Iris contracts, making pupil larger. Okay, so I'm sure students you are able to understand the phenomena, and you are able to understand that this iris is actually a very important thing in our eyes, right? This iris can actually contract and expand to control the size of pupil, So we can even write down that iris expands or contracts to control size of pupil. Okay, to control size of pupil. So students, I hope you have understood the concept here, right? And please understand that this is happening all the time, students. This is happening all the time with your eyes, right? The size of pupil is always changing when you are in bright light and when you are in dim light, students. Let us do some more examples here, students, which will help you to understand this concept even better.